saying, hey, we need to turn our life over to God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was trying to say. I couldn't get it out.
Let me put this out there, just a little confirmation here. You were talking about, the cloaking thing. Well, like she was saying, now, when the Christians go out of the way, it's going to give this evil an entire blank check. There's not going to be any Christians that have any authority over us, and they're going to be really have the ability. So you can postulate that if Christians are out of the way immediately, if the sky was just filled up with ships, you could see that's evils, no longer really having to wear a mask. They can really start preparing this, and then they can say that we've just removed the Christians who, during this whole war that they're going to be playing out, they're playing it out, in my opinion, for the reason of, so at the end they can say, this bloody war, this World War III, all these wars of history were created by religion. It's all, the Muslims against the Christians, and so they are the poison that's hurting your race. We've come here to stop this, blah, blah, blah. So they've removed the Christians because and everybody's, at that point going to have, so much animosity for Christianity anyways. They're going to say, yes, that was right. And by the way, here's the sky filled with aliens. So, well, that's all the validity I need.
Yeah,
and then at the same time, because like you're saying, Lynn, now there's a lot of stuff that at that point people are going to have to know. There's going to have to be like a sit-down session to explain where we come from, this is what we did, this is why we took everybody away, blah, 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 give them all these little different things, background story, everything else. And you can't get Joe Sixpack to sit down and listen to a big story about all this stuff until something on the level of the sky being filled with ships happens. And they're like, okay, let's listen to what the aliens got to say on CNN, and Fox and everybody else are telling you the same story that Lynn has been told, before. So, and then, I don't know, I think that makes sense.
It does. It certainly does.
Well, look what's going on.
Go ahead.
On TV, okay, on MSNBC, they had on there the 10 top close encounters. You see it on the TV. You see aliens popping up on Dogpile, the search engine. Aliens popping up here. They're preparing us right now for this huge disclosure thing. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I don't know how I don't even know if I should say this. Probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. People are going through a change right now, and I can't explain the change that like I'm going through. But if I tell you some of these things, you could probably say, yeah, that's happening to me too. But there's certain times that I get really, really sleepy, so sleepy I can't even hold my eyes open. My eyes are disconnected like they, at certain times when I'm sleepy like that, I have double vision. It's like my eyes are not connected. In fact, at work, somebody will say one of my eyes is way over here and the other one's looking straight. Now, I don't know what that has to do with anything. And I've prayed about this, and I've asked God if this is the contact with the demons to please remove it and make me back normal. But it's not. And I'm not getting the feeling that this has anything to do with the demons, with the contact with them. But there's some changes that we're going through, and we're being prepared for something. I don't know what, and maybe the rapture is going to happen, and it'll happen in a blink of an eye. And then the ships are going to show up, like you say. It may. Who knows when it's going to happen? But I know that they're preparing for something. It's like disclosure. The Vatican's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it.
And
like
apparently Malachi Martin had talked about it back in the late 90s, I believe it was, because I read that in the Vatican article, and they had referenced Malachi Martin, and he had said in the next 5 or 10 years, something that would have a great impact on us. So, and again, although the Mayans were probably exposed to demonic information and so forth, again, if everything is designed to create this deception coming forward, and looking at prophecy being fulfilled the way it is so rapidly these days, and in being able to understand things in the book of Daniel, for example, which was shut up for so long until the end of times. I mean, it all has to come down very soon, you would think. Certainly God is revealing, lots of things to many of us, and even giving us opportunity to share this information. So yeah, I agree that there are some changes taking place, in some of us, and I think a lot of that change has to do with knowledge that God is willing to reveal now, so that we can share it and spread it as quickly as possible.
He's changing it so we can be able to share this, I guess.
Absolutely.
Something, I don't know. I just know there's something coming big, and I think it's going to be a huge deception, because I think people are going to, look in the sky, they'll be, oh my gosh, and then they'll have, they're talking about these huge holograms showing the little graves assisting Christ and the ascension. That was the other word. I forgot to tell you about this. That was the other word. That's what's called whenever instead of being called the rapture, this thing where people are going to be taken up off the earth is called the ascension. That was the name given to it, the ascension.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they want to, in essence, I mean, when you really get down to it, like you're saying, that you believed you were doing God's work. I mean, and I don't know what you know about, like, the Ascended Masters and Buddhism, and but there's just a whole lot of stuff I won't even get into, but a lot of the people in the New Age community, and I'm not saying these are people that you were affiliated with or not, but they believe that there are these Ascended Masters that were once here, and because they were special people, they were embodied by the essence of the quote-unquote Christ. Right. So that just goes right along with that ascension. It's like kind of achieving like a nirvana-like state and ascending to the next, to the next level.
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lady that did all my work and stuff, she tried to get me to work with Metatron, but I would not have anything to do with Metatron. He would come in the room whenever I was having my sessions, and I just never did feel that great around that being. That was one of the ones that I did not want to have anything to do with.
Frank, I know we what was that? Who was that? I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Frank, I know we kind of, I think that what we're both saying, that the real rapture and the false rapture, I think, are probably going to coexist. And if, I don't say probably, it has a chance of coexisting and being both of them. I was just thinking about that just when she was talking, that the false rapture requires a lot of backstory. And I think that during the fallout from the real rapture, the first rapture, and the first rapture happens, aliens are here, they've got to tell us this whole story, and at that point the New Age gurus become the priests, the new priests, because here that they've been telling us about and keep in mind, the aliens are going to determine for people who are the people to trust. Here are the people that have it right, here are the people that don't, kind of thing. And so there's going to be this whole New Age priesthood that's going to be ordained. And so you can see at that point a false rapture being more clearly, because the aliens will you know what I'm saying? There has to be a time period between the actual one where they can talk about it, what's going to happen. Then the Christians that are left, and that the undergrounders, as it were, that you're drawing fish on meeting places and kind of things again, after the rapture, like we're saying, that there's still going to be Christians here, not that they were left behind per se, but people that have become Christians. And we can argue about that if you want, but you know what I'm saying. That I think the false rapture then could happen to the New Age gurus being raptured, as it were, to falsify as another false thing for the Christians left at that point.
Makes sense to me.
It makes perfect sense to me. I never even thought about this idea of this before. I knew it was going to be something to explain away, but I never really even thought about the information I was given about somebody, people being taken off, that it was a counterfeit rapture. And then you said other people were talking about this, and it was like, oh, this really has to be. This has to be, because other people's got the same information. And I know there's a lady on the internet, and she has a site, and it's called Operation Terra, TERRA.com, and her name is Lyra. And she talks, the beings that talk to her are called Hosts of Heaven. That's their name. And she's got a lot of the same information I have, except she is pulling in thousands of people into her group there. I joined as a Christian and started trying to preach there. She kicked me off. And
right.
Really?
She removed me real fast. And I didn't get to talk very much. But there's thousands of people following this lady. Y'all ought to Google Operation Terra and check it out, because she talks about the three ways and all this 3D and 5D and all this bunch of crap. That's what she talks about. But I think she's got a lot of followers, lots and lots of followers. She even has a radio program now.
That all fits in with the New Age agenda, because, the idea is to kind of discredit, what Scripture tells us and say the story isn't really that way. This is the way the story is really going to materialize, and so she's beginning to, what you're saying is she's beginning to teach the same things that you were told, and again, it's part of the preparation to be able to say, hey, the church didn't have it quite right. The church said this, but that's not really the way it was. This is the way it's going to be. And then when it materializes the way they're saying it's going to be, bang, there's the credibility. Look, it's happened just the way we said it was going to happen. And that's part of, the great delusion, I think, that God allows people to have, because they did not want the truth. They did not want to know the truth. And so, they're allowed to receive this great deception.
Exactly. It just amazes me. The more we go into this, and once y'all get my information, my stuff that I've channeled, I guess I shouldn't even say that word, but I don't know any other words. But information I was given, I think there'll probably be even more revelations that God's going to reveal to us. And
Lynn, do you have an email address that you would want to give out to? Is there an email address that you would be okay with people contacting you if they felt led to?
That's up to you. You don't have to.
Don't do it if you don't want to.
What I had said on the podcast was that if anyone wanted to contact Lynn, if they want to write to tfcservants@aol.com, I would forward, the information to Lynn. I won't get in the middle of it. I'll forward it, and that way it gives Lynn the opportunity to see, who's writing in, what they're asking, and you can. I will act as a go-between for the time being, and then of course she can establish whatever relationship she wants to, and it gives her a certain amount of, put some of the option in her hands. But by all means, anyone has any questions for Lynn at all, write the podcast email address, and I'll be very happy to forward it on to Lynn.
Sure. What's that address again?
It's tfcservants, which is plural, @aol.com.
Cool. And you want to give a link to your podcast so they can check out the interview you did with Lynn?
Yeah, sure. It's on the Revelations Radio Network. It's listed as interview with Lynn, and I believe it was podcast number 14. It'll say TFC interview with Lynn, and I'm pretty sure it was podcast number 14. It's either 14 or 15.
Great. And everybody can check that out on Revelations Radio Network. You can subscribe on iTunes, and it's just a compounded feed of all the different hosts. A lot of them were on the show tonight, so yeah, absolutely. Check that out. I'm sure, Lynn, I just really I really feel like your ministry is very needed in these times. I mean, so many people are there and going deeper, into it. So much deception about the allure of it, and so your ministry is very, very important, and I hope that it starts taking off.
Well, we just got to try it. If we can, they say, it says in the Bible that if one soul is saved, the entire all the angels in heaven rejoice. So if we can just save one, that's one more than there was.
Right.
I think Satan's plan in the end with all this fake rapture and all this stuff is to deceive the people that would go and be with God, the ones that should be. And I think the more that he can deceive us about souls, I